So I am Kunle Barker. I am COO of Melt Property, and we're a small boutique developer, and we do as much as we can in terms of sustainable development and sustainability. So that's about how developers, when they install anything that's sustainable, how do we pay for that? Because it has to be paid for. And we're working with companies, people like Kenza, to find ways of making those things pay for themselves so that it becomes something that developers want to do. I also am a non-exec director at an architects firm called Studio Agno, who recently got planning for the country's first not only zero carbon housing development, but zero construction waste. Also write for the Architects Journal, and I do some broadcasting, and we had a show out with ITV recently called Save Money, My Beautiful Green Home, and that was really about showing people about little things that they can do to be more sustainable. Not necessarily the huge things like air source heat pumps and solar panels, but what can you do in terms of just fitting the kitchen, for example? What should you be looking at to be more sustainable? How do you reuse materials, etc., and get a kitchen from a sustainable source? And I've travelled up in an electric car from London yesterday, and I stopped off at my old school, which was fantastic actually to see how engaged the kids were. I went to a school called Bedford Modern, and I met some year 6s and some year 12s and 13s, and it was just incredible. It made me almost feel like, well, there's nothing really to worry about. This is what's coming through. They are so much smarter than I was when I was their age, and I told them that, and way more engaged than I was when I was their age, and talking about sustainability and know absolutely everything. And that was even the year 6s knew everything, knew what COP was, knew what sustainability was, knew how to save carbon. It was mind-blowing. And my real thing is about how can we encourage people to do everything they can, because I think some people can be disincentivized to do sustainable, to make sustainable changes, because the rhetoric around it is just so overwhelming, and it's expensive, and it's complicated, and it's confusing. And they say, well, I can't do that, so I won't bother doing anything. And the idea is that actually, that's not the message we should be giving. The message we should be giving is every single kilo of carbon that you save, and if we all do something, and we all do as much as we can, then effectively kilo by kilo, we can get to that the net zero target. And that's what I'm doing up here at COP, launching a campaign called Kilo by Kilo, which is all about that. So if you need less energy, then you need less money. So less people will suffer from fuel poverty, and that all goes from a change in the country's thinking on energy. At the moment, what we're concerned with is how expensive is it? And now, where does it come from? That's not as relevant as how do I stop using energy? So if I insulate my home, a passive house, everybody that I know who has a passive house tells me the same thing. I don't turn my heating on, right? So that's how you beat fuel poverty, by not needing to use fuel. That is also, conversely, the solution to the problems we're all talking about. Stop thinking about things in terms of geographical border targets. Think about the world target. So I say again, the world target is we have to get down to about 25 gigatons of carbon. It doesn't matter how we do it or who does it, we've just got to do it. It is all about changing, and that's what I'm trying to do with Kilo by Kilo, is change the way people think about consumption. Consume less. That's across the board, so that's not just in terms of your energy, that's in terms of food, or how you consume, or waste less so that you buy less effectively. Your clothing. If you do have to buy things, get them from reusable sources, or get them from sustainable sources. I mean, it's the only way that we'll really get to that target. If everybody did everything, every single country did everything they've promised to do, we're still not there, not even close. We're still looking at a 4-degree rise. Put into perspective, even at a 3-degree rise. So there was a 3-degree rise about 3 million years ago, and it meant that sea levels were 10 to 20 meters higher than they are now. So just think about that. That's not even, and that's somewhere in between the two figures of where we need to be and where we're going. Yeah. So that means kind of, forget about the Maldives, forget about southern India, Holland's gone, and it goes on and on and on and on. So whilst I'm positive about us getting there, I think, the message needs to be, okay, enough rhetoric, and to paraphrase Greta, no blah, 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 let's get rid of that and let's do something. They need to do something. And we're not doing enough. So the built environment accounts for 40% of the UK's carbon footprint. So look at your homes. Simple things. Turn your boiler down from, it's normally up at 70, turn it down to 40 degrees. When you have a shower, you're using hot water, then you're turning on cold water. You're undoing something you've just done, So just heat it up to the temperature that is comfortable for you. If you can't afford things like underfloor heating or heat pumps, then you can buy TRVs with those little valves, thermostat valves that go on radiators. Some of them are electronic. They're fantastic. And they even know when you've got a window open. And when the window's open, they'll turn the radiator off. And then you can zone the room so you're not heating the entire house. Move your thermostat from the hallway. Why is it in the hallway? I don't know. Yeah, the hallway, that's not meant to be warm. So we go to someone's house and they've got a thermostat in the hallway and they're like, oh God, it's bloody hot in here, isn't it? And then they go to why is the heating still on? Well, it's because the hallway's like 15 degrees and you're sat in the living room, which is 25.
It's my sister's house.
Right, exactly. So move, buy these wireless thermostats and put them in the rooms you're actually using. I think it was either India or Pakistan moved the target back, so I think that's probably what they're referring to. I just remind that because we've got to stop getting focused on targets and buzzwords. Focus on what people are doing. China, for example, biggest polluter, but they actually also, so they in terms of coal, they use more, I think, than everybody else put together. But they also generate more renewable energy than anybody else put together. They're going to stop funding coal projects now, when they are ready to shift, because they're in a different trajectory in terms of, we've had our industrial revolution and some other countries haven't. But when they are ready to shift over, when they do shift over to renewables, it will make a huge difference. And I think we've got to understand that countries are at different points, or at different stages, and allow them to get to where we need them to get to, and not use that as an excuse for people to say, well, I heard there was some stuff on Twitter, and I heard, China aren't at COP26. That's not true, actually. That is just not true. Well, if they don't do anything, then we might as well not bother. Even if we hit 1.5, what we're really talking about is on the hottest days, in the hottest countries, they will see 4-degree rise. So it's places like Riyadh and stuff will be up in the mid-50s, 60s. It's just, you can't live in places like that. So there's a lot. I worry a little bit about the amount of rhetoric and about, we're gonna be here in 2030 and that'll be fine. It's good that we're all talking about it, but I think that needs to be the real message, so that it's kind of like everybody listening, watching.
Yeah.
When you leave here, go and do something. Go and save a kilo of carbon. Go and do something to reduce your carbon footprint, because if you don't, well,